Okay, friends, good morning. It's Saturday, February 16th, a little past 9 a.m., and I'm heading down here to the boatyard where my boat Margalo is stored. Margalo is a 1967 Bristol 29, and I've decided to put her on the market this year, this spring. Try to get that off my books, because as a family we've decided that it's holding us back more than anything. It's been a great starter boat, but I'm looking to do something bigger and more comfortable and more capable of doing some extended cruising. And every season I spend on this boat now is a season between me and that goal, with the fixed costs and whatnot. So the decision was made that we'd put Margalo on the market, and the bottom line is I can't afford to do two big boats at once. So I figured we'd roll down here. There's a fellow that kind of wanted to check her out potentially this morning, and if he shows up, that's great, but otherwise I'm gonna make a couple more videos for us and take a few photographs and hopefully get some materials together to help get Margalo sold. So here we are at the yard, and let's take a look at what we've got today. Alright, there she is, Margalo, the Bristol 29. Take a quick walk around here and have a look at her. A little shaggy. I haven't started any of the spring cleanup yet. Obviously she's going to need her bottom paint, and the top size is getting to the point where if you really want her to look sharp and yachty, painting the hull is certainly something that's going to be on the table soon. But she's not an eyesore either, and she's not an embarrassment, I don't think, and I've had a good couple of seasons on her, and a really great season last season, actually. You can see, quick walk around the hull. There's the name, Margalo, on the back. Bonus points if you can tell me what that's from. Now, one thing that I did do this past year was re-prop her. You'll notice that the nuts are missing there, and that's because this prop's coming back off. I experimented a little bit and discovered that I over-propped this boat. So she was having a hard time getting RPMs up. And of course the RPMs that I did get out of her brought her up pretty well close to hull speed there, and in a hurry with that big three-bladed prop. But there wasn't a lot of reserve power left after that. The engine just didn't have enough to spin it. So I'm going to go back to that original two-bladed prop, which wasn't problematic. I just wanted to throw a three-blader on there and see how she did. So I'm going to pause this video now and get the ladder out, and we'll go up on deck and take a look around. Okay, here we are on deck. Why don't we take a little look around here? Just keep a little bit. So, she's got good canvas, and you can see the frame is up here for the Dodger, and that's relatively new. I'll have to share photos of that. That's all packed away for the winter time. The deck on this boat is in pretty good shape. If you go poking around looking for them, you might find a small soft spot or two. These decks were cored with balsa, but nothing huge, nothing you can't drill and fill, or honestly even ignore for a little while. It's nothing serious. I don't even know how easily I could find one for you right now, but as we walk around, I'll keep an eye out. I mentioned, I believe in the advertisement, that she got all new standing rigging this past year in 2018. I'd still like to replace the halyards for this coming year. They could be worse, but they're a little tired and they run to wire, which is not my preference anymore. Kind of out of date there for a coastal cruising boat, I think. She's got some decent ground tackle and about 175 feet of some pretty heavy road there. She's got a roll of furring here. The one piece of standing rigging I did not replace was the forestay, but that one was relatively recent. I believe the previous owner did that about 6 years ago. On deck, she's pretty sparse, kind of a bare bones boat, not a lot of frills. But everything you need for a great Wednesday night sailing experience or whatever you might have in mind. There's not a ton of bright work. I started in on these cockpit combings this year. I use all Epiphanes high gloss varnish for anything exterior, and I really like the look of that. I think that's probably about the finest varnish you can buy these days. I've been letting the tow rail strip itself in the sun, and we're getting pretty close there. I think a light scrape will get us to the point where those will be ready for a fresh coat of whatever the next owner would like to use. Same with the handrails on top of the house here. Most of this boat is all original, so things like the winches and whatnot are all what you would expect from a 1967 boat. One area of concern is that obviously you can see the damage to the stern rail here. I don't really feel like getting into that story right now, but I need to have a couple welds replaced. I have a good stainless welder nearby, so as soon as I get a day warm enough to climb underneath and feel like climbing down into the lazarette, I'll get those backering plates out and go from there. She's got a nice big lazarette. There's kind of some crap dumped in there at the moment, but there's enough room for a man my size to climb inside and get work done. We also have one locker forward. I usually stash fenders and whatnot in there. The spare anchor. Everything's a little torn up right now for winter work. And the other thing I did in the cockpit was install this hatch for easier access to the stuffing box. I had to do some work on the rudder shaft a couple seasons ago, and I'm too big to be climbing in through the pilot berth, so this has been a really nice quick access point for inspection and any work that needs to be done. There's the top of the tiller head, and I have a simple rubber patch right there at the moment. There was a small damage to that deck, and I made a fiberglass patch for it. So why don't we take a look down below? Alright, let's start up forward here in the V-berth. Kind of a standard V-berth for the size and age of this boat. There's 6 feet in either direction, so it's relatively comfortable. There is no center insert for here, although something could be created pretty easily. One of these ports opens, the other one in the head opens too. Those are the two opening ports in this boat. And of course the hatch up above. Anchor rod goes up there in the very forepeak. There is a holding tank, a small portable holding tank under the V-berth here. Really intent on keeping the boat legal. There's a Y valve, of course, under here. And access as well to the seacocks for the head. My intention for this season was to go through those and help make sure that they're brand new, rebuilt, and good to go. On this side, another drawer and a cubby for storage beneath. See, I've got another winch handle in there. As we back out, there's this locker. Hanging locker, wet locker. It'll drain down into the bilge if you put wet foulies or anything in there. Other storage otherwise. In the head, Love this blue, and we've got these beautiful anchor motif on the sliders there. The original drop-down sink. Opening port. The head, I was getting water backing in through the head at the end of the season, and that's going to need a rebuild. I don't trust that valve, and that's what led me to going back to the Seacocks as well and just making sure that entire system is going to be brand new. Alright, and in the main cabin here, we've got one of the Bristol standard dinette layouts. The port, there's a dinette table that drops down and fills this space here to make a double berth. The nice thing about this table too is you can rotate it any way and have the long way extend this way, or right now I have it extended fully against the bulkhead on that side to create as much space as possible while I'm getting work done and things like that for the winter. Behind, you can see we have 1, 2, and there's a third locker behind. They're all relatively small, but there's good storage space in there. And all the wood had been refinished by that previous owner with Epiphane satin varnish. Everything down below has been redone like that, so it looks really nice. This paneling in here with this shelf really came out great. On this side, we've got the galley with a standard ice box, locker storage behind with, I think I still have some Spam in there from last season. Of course, the sink, the original alcohol stove, which I prefer not to use. I don't think it's ever been used on this boat, to be honest with you. It's very clean underneath there. And I use one of those single burner butane stoves now, which are really great. They heat the water, they're safer, they heat really quickly, and I can pull it up on deck if I don't want to heat up the cabin in the summertime. A couple of drawers for utensils and things like that. I keep galley utensils in there now. And then this hatch here opens up and you have access to the Seacock for, let me walk around here. That's the Seacock for the galley sink. You can see another hose in there that goes down. That's the access for the supply line from the water tank, which is a stainless steel tank under the deck here, under the cabin sole. Okay, now facing aft, we've got pilot berths on either side, although this is, starboard side is the only one I use for sleeping. On the port side, the seat in the cockpit opens that up into a locker, so you could stuff someone in there if you really need to, but generally what I do is store things like our fenders and whatnot. Oodles of storage underneath both of those berths and access to them easily. I don't usually store a whole lot of stuff under there because once you put a cushion on top, the access can be kind of a pain, but depending on what you want to do with this boat, that might be very useful space for you.